Hey everybody, it's Ann Kaplan from Mom Me and Ann Kaplan Childbirth Services, and I'm broadcasting today to share with you guys just a little recap of what's been going on for me in the last month and how I'm a lifelong learner, I guess, is the take-home message. What have I learned from this experience so far? I mean, we've been living in Spain for 1 month. And, hopefully something maybe you can learn from my experience too. Maybe my experience can save you some of my pain. So we have been here for 1 month. We have been living in Spain for 1 month. My husband doesn't speak Spanish at all. I speak terrible Spanish. My kids don't really speak Spanish. And this whole month has been super, super hard. And I think one of the reasons why is that Mike and I both are extremely goal-oriented people. And that's one of the ways that we've been able to achieve so much in our lives, I think, is that we paint this vivid imagery of what we want and what our end goal is. And it's so real and tangible to us that we make it happen. We manifest that. I really believe that that's true and possible. But here is the downside of that. This is what I mean when I say that you can be too goal-oriented. So like maybe it was like 6 weeks ago or a couple months ago, I did a broadcast about whether you are focused on your experience or you're focused on your goals. And this is coming up for me again, big time here. Like, we had this amazing vision of living in Spain. We would be able to speak Spanish. We were going to learn Spanish. How could we not? We're living in Spain. So going to be able to speak Spanish. We're going to be integrating with this culture and making all these new amazing friends. We're going to be participating in all these new activities that we've never done before. It's going to be like this incredible transformative cultural experience. And that might be how it is in the end, but guess what, guys? Like, been here a month, not fluent in Spanish. Are you surprised? I am surprised, which just shows you how much my head is up my ass. Like, not really. Like, if you had asked me, oh, are you going to be fluent in Spanish in a month? Of course, I would have said no. But what I'm realizing now is that I actually did, kind of emotionally anyway, have this expectation. So I basically spent the last month feeling like shit about myself. Like, I'm feeling really down on myself about the fact that, like, I'm gravitating towards people who speak English and socializing with those people. And, like, then I'm beating myself up for it because it's like, you're never going to learn Spanish if you hang out with Americans or British people. Or, I'm beating myself up because I am chickening out of hard situations that are like social situations. It might be easier for me to try to do stuff over text instead of over the phone, or just send my kids to go do something instead of going and doing it myself or whatever. And then I beat myself up for it because I'm taking the easy way out. And, afraid to take kids places that maybe they might have fun, but it would be really hard for me or like stressful for me to go there. So I'm chickening out of that, and I'm just beating myself up over that stuff. And what I'm noticing is not just that I'm beating myself up, and it's not just me, but all 6 of us were slipping into our old habits. These habits that Mike and I especially have worked very intentionally and very hard to grow out of, like blaming each other, like beating ourselves up, like starting to bicker and grow apart from each other, like bringing anger and starting to use screens as a way to like basically escape our stress and stuff like that. All these things that we've learned and weaned ourselves away from doing, now they're coming back to us because now we're in this like stressful situation. And that's when I really started kind of spiraling a little bit in the last week or so of like, oh my God, we are descending into the past. Like, this move was a really bad idea for us because it's going to like bring us back to this like really dark time that we have worked so hard to get away from. And I finally had an aha moment yesterday that was just like, duh, because this is what I do with my clients all the time. Every week, if you're my client, you know this. Every week you have an assignment to post in our closed Whole Women Happy Family group. What have you done this week that you're proud of? And that's so important. And why do I have my clients do that? Because it's massive. And here's why it's massive. It's not just because it feels really good to like pat yourself on the back and be like, I'm really a good person, don't feel down. Like, that's great too, but that's not what is the most transformative thing about taking a second and thinking about what you're proud of. because this is what I mean. This is what I meant back when I did my first broadcast about that, and I'm going to elaborate on even more now. This is what I mean when I say focusing on experiences versus focusing on the goals. If you are so fixated on your goals, if you are so fixated on the outcome of all the things that you're putting your efforts into right now, whether it's this amazing life transformation that you're trying to do, or becoming the next version of yourself, or even something small like getting your kids to put their backpack away for the love of freaking God when they come home from school, or brush their teeth in the morning, or potty train, or whatever, any change that you're working toward, you've been obsessed with that outcome, and that means that you're basically setting yourself up for, I'm not allowed to be happy until I've achieved this outcome. That means that the entire time you're working towards that outcome and goal, you've just decided that you're going to be miserable. Like, you're postponing your happiness. You're denying yourself the feelings of fulfillment and satisfaction. And you might not think that these two things are mutually exclusive, but I promise you, like, if you really sit down and think about times in your life when you've been unhappy or frustrated or whatever, picture these two little columns. One is they both represent your focus. One column is the experience, one column is the goal. If all of your energy is going into your experience, you're not focusing on the goal, and that's okay. And if all of your focus is on your goal, you're not really focusing on your experience. You're not really experiencing that moment. So that's what I mean when I say that you can be too goal oriented. That's what I mean when I say that you need to work on focusing on the experience. So in doing that exercise of listing, like, what are you proud of? What have you accomplished that you're proud of? That's how you recognize that you're changing, that you are moving towards your goal, that right now you already have achieved your goal by striving toward it, if that makes sense. The feelings and outcome that I want to have from living in this country of making friendships, learning Spanish, feeling accomplished, this next level of myself, those feelings are available to me right now. I don't have to wait for a year from now or for me to pass some Spanish test or whatever to give myself permission to feel like accomplished. I'm the next version of me. I'm so proud, blah, blah, blah. I can give myself permission to feel that way right now. Those feelings are accessible to me whenever I want them. And the way that I access them is by focusing on my accomplishments. And when we talked on Tuesday, I talked about this concept of poco a poco, and everybody here tells me, every time I say, oh, it's been hard, we don't have this yet, or we're trying for that, or whatever, everyone just says poco a poco, poco a poco. And it was driving me crazy because I'm just like, I'm not poco a poco. I'm like rapidamente, rapidamente. I want things now and yesterday. And, but it's finally starting to sink in, and it's finally starting to resonate with, like, wait a second, I actually already teach this. I teach it in my childbirth classes. I teach it in my coaching with parents, everything. Like, change doesn't happen overnight. And if you expect it to, and if you're obsessed with getting it done or you're a failure, you're going to burn out, you're going to be miserable until you reach your goal, and you're less likely to reach your goal. So what am I proud of? Okay, you guys, I'm not fluent in Spanish yet after 1 month here. Shocking, right? I'm not like having amazing, awesome Spanish friendships. I'm not gallivanting around Almeria every day by myself, like in Spanish and ordering things and being super adventurous with food all the time. I'm not doing that yet. But here's the things that I came up with today that I can think of over the last month that I am really proud of. So like last week, I had a parent-teacher conference with Gigi's teacher, and she doesn't speak English at all. And I had a 45-minute long conversation with her about Gigi, and I understood the whole thing. And I was able to communicate with her too. Now, she is very patient with me. She spoke super slow and all of that stuff, but who cares? Like, I had a freaking parent-teacher conference in Spanish. Yay me. I did it. I'm momming in Spanish right now. Like, I'm a boss, okay? I had a conversation yesterday with a neighbor, and I understood about 70% of it. I'm pretty sure we were talking about her dog. But yeah, I did it. I talked to her. I'm working on it, and every day I'm understanding more and more, and there's less like garbledygook in the midst of all of my conversations. It's happening slowly, okay? There's so much that I have that I can be proud of. Like, it doesn't have to even be about Spain. Like, for example, we live in Spain right now, and I said to my husband, you know what? I didn't even realize this, but we've been living in Spain for a month, and we don't own a scale here. And think about the me that was 2 years ago or 5 years ago. There's no way that we would have moved somewhere and I wouldn't have bought a scale the very first time I got to the store because I need to know how much I weigh. I don't care anymore. What do you know? Look at that. So, you know, that's like a major thing that I didn't even realize I was like bossing. I ride the bus by myself here. I'm studying Spanish every single day. I found a new coffee shop with Mike yesterday and we really reconnected. I mean, there's so many little things that if I look at them, I can see like, oh, this change is happening. It hasn't happened, but it's happening. And if I get too obsessed with, well, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, pretty soon these years are going to be over and I'm going to have been basically unhappy the whole time and also kind of a bitch to my family. And I don't want to be that way, and I don't want to be that way to myself. And I need to be putting that energy of like pride and excitement and enthusiasm and enjoying the process out there. So when we talk about change, like we did on Tuesday, change is slow. Poco a poco, right? Whether it's changing your dilation of your cervix when you're in labor, whether it's changing the vibe in your family, whether it's making a massive change in your life or your diet or whatever, it's slow. It's consistency. That's what we talked about on Tuesday. And it's also recognizing your successes throughout that time so that you can even see that change is happening. And I guarantee if you sit down today and just take some time and think about like, well, who am I today versus a year ago? I bet there's a million little successes that you haven't even, not only have you not given yourself credit for, you probably didn't even notice them. Like the scale thing for me, I didn't even realize that. Like I've grown so far past it that it actually was like a lightning bolt to me when it dawned on me. So my point in all of this stuff, you guys, is don't postpone your happiness. Don't give yourself a rule that you're not allowed to be happy until X, Y, and Z criteria are met. That's a horrible way to live our lives, and it's so common. We all do it sometimes. Stop focusing so much on the goal. Let yourself really understand the experience you're having and give yourself credit for the change that you are making. And you're on the spectrum. You're on this journey of getting to your destination. And don't settle. Like, just don't settle for living a life of quiet desperate. How many of my clients say, well, once the kids are older, X, Y, and Z, or once my kids do such and such, then I'll blah, 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 blah. All you're doing when you're doing that is you're putting your entire focus into the future and you're denying yourself the ability to be happy and fulfilled right now. And that ability exists for you. That feeling of fulfillment and happiness is accessible to you anytime you want it. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. I am actually super turning a corner right now with this just realization and this time that Mike and I took with each other yesterday. Just going to a coffee shop. It wasn't like life-changing or anything. But I really recognize that the ability to have the experience I want out of this adventure we're on is really in my hands. And I am making a pledge to myself and to you guys that I'm going to do it. So that's big lesson number one from my trip to Spain, and I hope it's helpful to you guys too. Happy Thursday, everyone. Love you. Bye.